There is someone in your life who makes you feel deeply understood. They finish your thoughts. They remember what hurt you 3 years ago. They say exactly what you need to hear at exactly the right moment. And somehow, every time you walk away from them, you feel slightly less like yourself. You can't explain it. They were kind. They listened. They cared. So why do you feel hollowed out? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Empathy is not always a gift someone gives you. Sometimes it's a map they're drawing of your weaknesses. And the most dangerous manipulators in the world aren't the ones who don't feel. They're the ones who feel everything and use it. This is the mind shadow. We go into the parts of human behavior most people would rather not see. Today's subject is one of the most misunderstood phenomena in modern psychology: dark empathy. It was only formally identified in 2021. It lives in people you trust. It thrives on your openness. And once you understand how it works, you will never read a conversation the same way again. We're going to cover how dark empaths are created, what happens in the brain when they operate, and exactly how the mechanism is used against you or by you. Stay until the end. The final revelation will reframe everything. In 2021, psychologist Nadja Haim and her team at Nottingham Trent University published something that rattled the psychological community. They discovered a distinct personality profile. People who score high on the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, but who also possess strong empathic ability. They called them dark empaths. And what made this disturbing was the finding that they were rated as more likable and more socially successful than even emotionally healthy people. Think about what that means. The person most likely to manipulate you is also the person most likely to make you feel seen. History is full of them. Robert Hare, the world's leading expert on psychopathy, documented countless corporate executives and high-functioning predators who used emotional attunement as a precision instrument. They would sit with a colleague, listen, reflect feelings back with surgical accuracy, and then use every disclosed vulnerability as leverage quietly later when it mattered. The dark empath doesn't lack feeling. That's the myth. They feel your emotion. They process it. They simply don't prioritize your well-being when that emotion becomes useful to them. This is what separates them from a classic psychopath. A psychopath reads your body language like a manual. A dark empath reads your soul and writes notes in the margins. Here's where neuroscience makes this even more unsettling. When most people feel empathy, two systems activate in the brain. The affective system, you feel what the other person feels viscerally in your body. And the cognitive system, you understand what the other person feels intellectually from a distance. Healthy empathy uses both. It creates connection and ethical behavior together. Dark empaths operate almost entirely on cognitive empathy, the understanding without the ache. Their mirror neuron system still fires. They process your emotional state with remarkable accuracy. But the effective weight, the part that would make using your pain feel wrong, is dampened or absent. They experience your grief the way a skilled actor experiences a script, convincingly, professionally, without consequence. And this is why they're so effective. They never get overwhelmed by your emotions the way a genuinely caring person would. They stay calm, they stay clear, they stay in control. You mistake that steadiness for maturity, for strength, for safety. In reality, you're being assessed. Neuroscientist Gene Desity at the University of Chicago showed that individuals high in psychopathic traits can voluntarily turn empathic resonance on and off, like a switch. A dark empath doesn't just have this ability, they've refined it. They turn it on when they need your trust. They turn it off when they need to act. So how does this play out in the real world? Against you? It begins with mirroring. The dark empath reflects your values, your vocabulary, your energy. You feel an immediate and powerful sense of connection. You think, this person gets me. That feeling is real. The danger is in what's happening underneath it. They are cataloging you. Every fear you reveal becomes a pressure point. Every desire you expose becomes a leash. The moment of activation usually comes disguised as support. They help you, but in a way that creates dependency. They understand your anxiety, but reference it later to make you question yourself. They validate your ambitions, but subtly position themselves as the reason you might achieve them. In intimate relationships, this looks like a partner who knew exactly how to love you in the beginning and now uses that same knowledge to destabilize you. In workplaces, it looks like a mentor who championed you publicly while undermining your confidence privately. The consistent signature is this: you feel grateful and diminished at the same time. You can't articulate why, because their behavior always has a warm explanation. Now, to be clear, understanding this is also power. If you are in leadership, in sales, in negotiation, or in any role requiring influence, cognitive empathy is a legitimate tool. Reading what someone feels and responding effectively is not manipulation by itself. The line is intent. Are you using this understanding to serve them or to serve yourself at their expense? That distinction is everything. Here is the part nobody wants to hear. Remember the open loop from the beginning, the person who understood you too well and left you feeling hollowed out. Here's the reframe. You have done this, not necessarily with malice, but you have gathered emotional information about someone and used it to influence an outcome in your favor. You have said what someone needed to hear, not because it was true, but because it moved the situation forward. You have made someone feel understood in a moment when you primarily needed something from them. Every human being carries the seed of dark empathy. The difference between a healthy person and a dark empath is not the capacity cell, it's the frequency, the intention, and crucially, the awareness. The most dangerous version of this isn't the calculating predator, it's the person who does it unconsciously and calls it love. Awareness is the only antidote. Knowing this pattern exists in others and in yourself fundamentally changes how you give trust and how you give care. The people worth opening up to are those whose empathy costs them something. You can feel it. When someone is truly moved by your pain, it shows. When someone is merely processing your pain as data, that shows too, if you know what to look for. The most powerful thing you can do right now is slow down. Not become cold, not become closed. Slow down. Watch how the people around you respond to your pain. Do they sit with it, or do they pivot to solutions that happen to benefit them? Do they remember your vulnerability because they care, or because they're keeping score? Your inner world is not a resource to be mined. Guard who gets access to it. If this opens something for you, the subscribe button is right there. More of this every week. I'll see you in the shadows.